Hello. 안녕하십니까. Good afternoon, everybody.
Afternoon.
Yes, welcome everyone once again. We are so happy to see everyone here today. So welcome again to our Web Panel Testimonial Sharing 4.0. So is everyone able to see the slides? Yes.
Yes.
Thank
Yes.
you. Thank you.
Yes.
So without further ado, yes, let me introduce the two second-gen leaders who will be the MCs of the main program today. So we have firstly our elder brother, Reverend Nami Huang, he's the Hong Kong FFWPU pastor from 2014 to 2019, and he is also the YSP Greater China president from 2017 to present. And lastly, he is also a PhD candidate at Sun Hak UP Graduate School from 2019 to now. So this is our brother Nam Hee Huang with his beautiful family. And secondly, we have our sister Yong Shu. So Sister Jushu, she graduated from Samun University in 2019, and she is also currently the second-gen leader of Malaysia. And lastly, she is blessed in 2020 to a spouse from Taiwan. So yes, this is our Sister Jushu over here with her family. So without further ado, I would like to pass on the time to my two amazing MCs for today, and I wish everyone a fruitful session ahead. Thank you.
Thank you, Brother Songgi. Yeah. So, brothers and sisters, how are you?
Doing fine.
Great.
Great. Yeah, amazing. It's really amazing to see our Mrs. Young here, and along with our Mrs. Teresa Kittle and Mrs. Ursula and all our brothers and sisters here.
Yes, welcome to tonight's tonight's program, or this afternoon's program, everybody. We have some great news. We actually have so many participants this time. 531 have registered, and
Yes.
so hopefully everybody can make it here tonight and join us from all over the world. The farthest are from Africa, and just now we even heard somebody's in America. So we have Africa, America, Asia, potentially even Europe participants joining and listening. So this is really a wonderful experience. And
Yes.
my name is Nam Hee Huang. I am your MC today. And together with me is also here our sister.
Hi. So I'm Zishu Leong from Malaysia. Yeah, so together we'll be your MC for today. And this time, as you heard from from Brother Songgi, that we will have a special format where parents and children will have different breakout rooms. So most excitingly, not only we will have two special guest speakers today, but their parents are also with us. And we are all so honored to have our special VVIP, as you met just now. Our Mrs. Young is joining us today to deliver a special message. I guess because of Mrs. Young and all this attraction of love that attracted a total of 531 participants from 21 countries across the continents. Yeah, so let's not wait for more. Let's go to the next program.
All right, now to begin our evening or this program together with the correct heart and mind, let us align ourselves with our Heavenly Parent and true parents with an opening prayer offered by our beloved elder sister and auntie, Mrs. Ursula McLaughlin, who is the director of the Blessed Family Department of Asia-Pacific. So could you please begin with a prayer?
Let us pray. 사랑 하시는 하늘 부모님, 천진 참 부모님 감사합니다. Heavenly parents to parents of heaven, earth, and humankind, we are so deeply grateful that across the oceans and the lands, Father, even beyond our Asia-Pacific region, we can all gather here together as brothers and sisters, as your children and the children of our true parents. We truly pray that this meeting today can be meaningful also in your eyes, that you will be able to speak so deeply to every participant here, whether they are second gens, first gens, or their parents, Father, that you can use the words and the hearts of our speakers in order to touch each one of our hearts. Father, we are also so grateful because today is a very special day as we are now bidding farewell and often tearful farewell by our blessed families to our beloved regional group chairman, Dr. Yoshie Yong. But at the same time, we are so deeply grateful to you that Dr. Yong's family, Samonim, and the entire family, the children Ken and Jisun and Yushin and Sunjin, that all the families can be here with us continuously, and especially throughout for the last 12 years, Father. Dr. and Mrs. Yong have poured out their heart, their love to guide our blessed families, and especially also to guide and to protect our second gens. And so Samonim will be here with us continuously. We are so grateful. So we want to listen to her, and we want to listen to our speakers and their parents, Father. We really want to open up our hearts, and that this can be a most meaningful meeting, Father, that can give hope and encouragement, even at times of struggles, that we can always remember the words that you will speak today, Father. So we really are so grateful to always have been guided by our leaders, especially by Dr. and Mrs. Yong throughout this time, Father, that you have encouraged us and encouraged our blessed families and our second gens. And so, Father, we pray that you will be here at this very special meeting. We report all this in the name of David and Ursula McLachlan of a blessed center family. Aju.
All right, thank you so much, our beloved Mrs. Ursula. And now the next part will be our very special speaker that will be introducing or sharing with us about her own words of wisdom and experience. But first, let me introduce Mrs. Yong, Mrs. Yoshie Yong, who has already for the past 10 or more years been serving here in the Asia-Pacific region as an advisor to the Blessed Family Department, as well as the Second Generation Department. And during this time, she has helped host constantly workshops for second generation in Thailand, year in and year out, and also really focusing on spreading the message and helping to raise our next generations to become filial sons and daughters of Heavenly Parent and true parents. So with this, she also has been touring around the region, visiting various nations and families and communities to share the message, to give guidance and counsel the various families, to give advice on how to specifically purity education as well as blessing guidance. And all of her teachings and all of her sharing comes from a place of experience, because the amazing Yong family has not only second generation that have all been blessed, but also third generation, and together with their parents make up a 4-generation home that are living together under one roof. And so we can imagine how much life experience they must have from that whole journey. And so we are so much looking forward to hearing the words of wisdom and guidance from our beloved Mrs. Yong. So without further ado, let us invite her with a warm round of applause, everyone.
ちょっと慣れてないけど。
So she says she's not used to Zoom yet and having to speak to the computer.
皆さん何を聞きたいでしょうかね。
So she's wondering, what does everyone want to hear from someone?
Anything.
We want to hear your heart.
Inspiration for the second generation, please.
インスピレーションそうですね。まあちょっと本当に若い2世からお父さんお母さんまでいろんな年齢の人がここに集まっていますけれども、それでちょっと御言葉をなんていうんですか、集中して話すことがちょっと難しいなというのを感じています。
Because we've got participants from a young age all the way up to the older parents who have come and joined us during this time. Therefore, she says that it's a little bit difficult to kind of pinpoint a certain part of true parents' words and share it and for it to have meaning for everyone.
ここに集まった皆さんというのは、祝福家庭の方たちですね。
So everyone who has gathered here is all part of a blessed family, yes?
これから天一国創建に向けて、何が一番重要になってくるかというと、皆さん祝福家庭の血統であり、そして祝福家庭としての伝統です。
So in the establishment of a nation of Chanyeolguk, what will become very important for everyone to uphold is going to be maintaining the blessing and to keep true parents' tradition.
わかりますでしょうか？
Do you understand?
天
Yes.
一国がこの地上に、創建されても、天一国に入籍できる家庭にならなければ、私たちは資格を失ってしまうということですよね。
So this means that even if Chanyeolguk itself has been established, if we or if our families don't uphold that kind of standard, then we're not really able to become part of this.
なので、お父さん、お母さんの皆さんに関しては、本当に、2世の子どもたち皆さんを本当にこの純潔を守って祝福を受けられるように導かなければなりません。
So really the parents, all of the parents here and your parents, the parents of the second generation here, really have to lead and guide all of the second generations to really receive your parents' blessing.
そして、若き2世の皆さんは、自分自身の血統がどれほど尊いかということを知って、純潔を守っていかなければなりません。
And the young second generations who are here, you have to recognize what is the value of your lineage, what is the value as a second generation. You have to maintain and keep that purity.
そして、2世祝福家庭の皆さんは、神様が6000年間願ってこられた神様の血統の家庭です。
So all of you second generations have inherited the lineage from God that He has yearned for the past 6,000 years to establish on this earth.
この2世祝福家庭の皆さんが本当にモデルの家庭になって全世界にそのモデル家庭としての姿を見せていかなければなりません。
Therefore, the second generation here, you really have to become the model that can stand and become a model for the whole world to see.
わかりますか？
Do you understand?
Yes.
わかりました。Yes.
そのためには本当に、お父さんお母さんそして2世の家庭子どもたちが一つになれるその道を模索していかなければならないです。
So this means we have to search for and find the way where the parents and the children are able to unite and become one.
それは皆さんがご存知のように、我々はために生きる団体ですね。
So as you may know, we are an organization that lives for the sake of others.
そして、はべることを学んだ 者たちですね。
And we are also people who have learned how to attend or live in attendance.
では、それはどこでしなければならないかというと、家庭の中です。
So then where do we have to live in attendance? Living in attendance is something that has to take place within the family.
外の何かの奉仕活動で一生懸命するのではなく、家庭の中でどのようにしてために生きるか、どのようにしてはべりながら生活するのかということが一番大事です。
So it is not only about doing a peace activity or peace project outside, but the more important thing is how can you live in attendance within your own family?
はべるという言葉は、誰が誰に対してはべるということですか？
So to attend, who has to attend to who? What does it mean to attend?
私たちのその理解する概念では、子どもたちが親にはべらなければならないというふうな考えがあると思います。
So I believe the concept that we have or that we understand in regards to attendance is for the children to attend the parent. We have such a concept.
でも、はべるその子どもたちに育てるためには、親がまず子どもたちにはべっていかなければなりません。
However, in order for the children to learn how to attend the parents must first attend the children.
そのようなことを考えてみたことありますか？
Have you ever thought of it in that way?
では、はべるということはどういうことですか？
So what does it mean to attend?
皆さんの子どもたちを神様の息子、娘として、生成の限りを尽くして対して生活しなければならないということです。
So that means you have to treat your children as if they are the sons and the daughters of God.
言葉を使うときにも本当に正しい言葉を使い、行動するときにも常に子どもたちの前に見本となる行動でなければならないということです。
So that means even the words that you use, they have to be proper, they have to be good words that God can like. And even in your actions, you have to, show a model action towards your children.
見せることで私たちは教育をしなければならないということです。
This means we have to educate our children by showing them what needs to be done, by becoming the model ourselves first. This is how we can educate them.
お父さんお母さんが子どもたちを本当に聖性を込めて神様の主と思って育てていくその姿を子どもたちはよく見ているし感じます。
So the children are very much aware of how you treat them and if you're treating them as God's sons and daughters or not.
どうですか皆さん、2世の皆さん、そうだと思いますか？
So all of the children, all of the second generation here, do you agree?
Yes.
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 そうですね。教えるということは見せることです。
So to teach or to educate means that you have to show.
故に、私たちは言葉ではなくして行動で、歩まなければならないということですね。
Therefore, we have to live not just with our words, not just telling our children what to do, but we have to show them how or what needs to be done through our actions.
お父さんお母さん分かりましたでしょうか？
So the mothers and the fathers here, do you understand?
Yes. Yes.
今更という気もしますけど。
You might think, how do I say like,
Yes.
I've never done this up until now, but I have, like, how do you say? I actually don't know how to say this in English. It's like, oh, it's too late for me to start now. I'm already at this certain age. But you might think that way, but regardless, you still have to start now.
I agree.
2世の皆さんは本当にお父さんお母さんの前に孝行をしたいと願うその心情で 生活しなければなりません。
And all of the second generations, all of the children who have joined here, you have to live in with a heart of filial piety towards your parents. You have to live wanting to serve and attend your parents.
私たちが地上世界で祝福家庭として完成しなければならないのは3つありますよ。
So there are three things that we have to accomplish here on this earth before we go to the spirit world.
わかります何か？
Do you know what they are?
1番目、
First,
個性を完成することです。
is to have individual perfection.
そして2番目は
Second,
家庭の完成です。
family
Family
perfection.
perfection.
そして3番目は
And the third,
この秘蔵世界の主人としての立場です。
is to stand as the owner of all of the created things.
これをこの地上生活において完成させていかなければなりません。
This is what we have to complete while we are living here on this earthly world.
そしてその完成の中心部分は何かというと、
And what lies in the heart of that completion?
4大新条件と3大王権です。
Is the 4 great realms of heart and the 3 great kingships.
そうですか？
Isn't that right?
Yes.
4大新条件は何ですか？
What is the 4 great realms of heart?
Children's heart, siblings, love, conjugal and parental.
合ってますね。
Yes, that is correct.
ありがとう。親として、夫婦として、兄弟姉妹として、子女としての愛を完成させなければなりません。
So it is to complete the love of a parent, to complete the love of a conjugal love, so partners, to complete the love of siblings and the love of children.
その4つの愛が集まったものが神様の愛です。
So these 4 loves together combined is God's love.
神様の愛を私たちは誠の愛と言いますね。
So we call God's love as true love.
では、誠の愛というのはどんな愛ですか？
So then what kind of love is true love?
100% ために生きる愛です。
So it is a love that lives 100% for the sake of the other.
親が子供の前に 100% ために生きる愛。
It is a love where parents will live 100% for the sake of their children.
夫が妻のために、妻が夫のために 100% 生きる愛。
It is a love where the husband lives for the wife and the wife lives for the husband at 100%.
そして兄弟姉妹がお兄ちゃんが妹のために、お姉ちゃんが弟のために、そのようにして生きる愛が兄弟姉妹の愛です。
And the siblings love is where the brother lives for the sister and the sister lives for the brothers 100%.
そして子女の愛は不思議なことに生まれてしばらくの間は子女の愛はために生きません。
And interestingly enough, children's love, ever since the baby is born, does not live for the sake of other.
そうですね、皆さん子供を持っているお父さんお母さんは分かりますね。
So all of the parents, all of the people who have had children would understand this.
もううちもおんまですね。みんなもおんま。
So all of the babies at home, they all cry out for Amma, all cry out for mommy.
要求です、すべてが。
They all they ask for love.
この子女の愛だけはなぜか 100% ために生きない愛なんですよ。
So only this children's love is a love that doesn't live 100% for the sake of the other.
なぜでしょう？
Why is this so?
子女の愛には成長期間があるんですよ。
In the children's love, you have what is called the growing period.
お父さんお母さんの愛を十分に受けて、お兄ちゃんお姉ちゃんの愛を十分に受けて育ったその子供は、やがて思春期を超えて、そして夫婦になっていくときに、その子女の愛が少しずつ成長して、やがて親のために 100% 生きようという公私公助の愛となって完成していきます。
So this children's love will in the very beginning receive 100% of the parents' love, will receive 100% from the siblings' love, and eventually in the future, after growing, going through this growing period, it will mature, and eventually that love will become a love of filial piety, of living 100% for the sake of the parents.
そして親のためなら自分自身のすべての人生を捧げてもいいと思う。生まれたのも親のため、生きることも親のため、結婚するのも親のためであり、死ぬことも親のゆえにと、すべてが親のために生きたときに、この子女の愛が完成していきます。
And this children's love is a love that will eventually live 100% for the sake of the parent. It will be happy to have been born for the sake of the parent, to live for the sake of the parent, to marry for the sake of the parent, and even to die for the sake of the parent. Such is children's love once it has been completed.
このようにして私たちはそのように公私公助に育てるのか。
So then how can we raise our children to become such filial sons and daughters?
それは3代が共に暮らして親がまずおじいちゃんおばあちゃんという親にはべって生きるその生活を見せたときに子供は自動的に学ぶようになっています。
So when we live in a family of 3 generations together, and where you show through your own life that you're living, serving and attending the grandparents, then your children will naturally see that and inherit that from that family.
わかりますか？
Do you understand?
なので祝福家庭のお父さんお母さんは必ず子供たち誰か最低1人でも共に暮らして孫と共に暮らす生活をしてください。
Therefore, for the parents, please live at least with one of your children so that you're able to live with at least 1 or 2 of your grandchildren together in the same house.
うちは3人の息子娘がいますが、全員すべて一緒に住んでいます。
So we, in our home, we have 3 children, and at the moment, all of us are living together under the same roof.
そして私にはサモニムのお父さんも一緒に4代が一緒に暮らしています。
And Samonim's father is also living together in the same house. Therefore, we actually have 4 generations living under one roof.
全部で何人ですか？
素晴らしいですね。
11人ですね。
So altogether, we've got 11 people living in the same house.
Yes. Thank you for setting the best model.
Amazing, isn't it?
Yes, amazing. Thank you very much for setting the best model.
11人がどうやって暮らすのかな。
How can we live with 11 people in one house?
そして4歳と1歳の孫が2人、全部で3人の孫がいます。
So altogether, someone has 3 grandchildren, 4-year-old and 2 1-year-olds.
毎日がチャイルドケアです。
So every day is like a child care.
もう忙しい。
It's busy at home.
最近はサモニムの仕事よりおばあちゃんの仕事の方が忙しいです。
So recently, more so than Samonim's work itself, she's more busy doing the work of a grandmother.
でも、その忙しさは、誠の愛を中心とすると喜びに変わるんです。
However, that period of being busy, when it is done centered on love, then that time is not just a busy time, but it's actually a time of happiness.
お互いがお互いのために生きなければ決してこの共に暮らすことは不可能です。
If we do not live for the sake of each other, then how do you say, it's not possible for us to live well on this earth.
そうですね。
Isn't that so?
でも、それは皆さんが本当に努力すれば可能だということです。
However, if you really put all of your effort into it, then it is possible for you to live for the sake of others.
お父様、誠のご母様がそれを願っていらっしゃいます。
This is what our true parents desire from us.
そして、この3代の家庭が、親子3代が共に朝の訓読会をしながら生活したなら、決してサタンがその家庭を攻撃することができないというのが、お父様の御言葉です。
And it is true parents' words. He said that if these 3 generations living together do hundoke at home all together with 3 generations, then Satan will have no space to move. He will have no room to invade his family.
いかにしてそのように家族が揃って朝この訓読会の伝統を守っていくのか。これが皆さんの家庭、一家庭一家庭がなさなければならない伝統です。
So then how can we set up and how can we maintain this tradition of having hundoke with 3 generations in the family? This is, this is what you have to do. This is your role or responsibility.
皆さん、朝の訓読会はきちんとしてますか？
Is everyone doing hundoke in the morning?
Yes.
Different times.
In the evening. In the
Yes.
evening, we are doing in the evening.
Yes.
各自でバラバラにしないでくださいね。
So please don't do hundoke like individually. Please do it together.
この共に訓読会をするということがとても大事です。
Doing hundoke together is really important.
そのようにして、お父さん、お母さんがさらにおじいちゃん、おばあちゃんを本当に尊く思ってはべりながら生活するその姿を見て子どもたちは育ち、また天のこの訓読会の伝統、敬礼式の伝統を守っていくならば、子どもは自動的にそれを学んでいくようになります。
So when the parents then live serving and attending the grandparents, then the children will be able to see that and inherit that from the parents automatically and grow up really well. Additionally, when, for example, in the morning or doing hundoke, when you show towards your children the tradition of full bowing or even full bowing towards your own parents to show respect, and they, again, automatically learn and inherit that tradition from you.
そうしたら私たちは教育は必要ありません。
When we are able to do that, we no longer need to educate our children.
このようにして、共に暮らし、はべる生活をする家庭に神様は常に臨在してくださいます。
Because in that kind of family, God and heavenly parents will automatically live together within that family.
そのような家庭が広がることで、氏族権となり、そしてそれが国家につながるということです、ね。
And when the influence of that family then expands, this becomes, part of your tribe, and that eventually becomes a nation of God.
ということで、今は見せて人を導く時代になりました。
Therefore, we have now entered an era where we lead or guide other people by showing them what needs to be done through our actions, basically.
周りの人々がこんな家庭を作っていきたい、私もこのようになっていきたいと言って皆さんについてくるようなそのような家庭を 皆さんの一家庭一家庭がそれをなしていかなければならないということです。
So that means that you have to establish a family where when someone else sees you, they will think that, oh, I want to create a family just like yours. If you're able to create that kind of family, that kind of model, then they will, that is what we need to do.
そのようにして、すべての祝福家庭がそのように天の伝統を守って、模範家庭となっていったならば、その世界がそのようになっていったとするならば、宗教というものは自動的に消えてなくなります。
And when all blessed families are able to establish these kind of families, and when all of the people in the world are able to establish these kind of families, religion is something that would automatically disappear.
神様を中心としてはべる家庭のだけが残るということですね。
The only thing that remains is families that live in attendance of God and true parents.
それを目指して皆さんが本当に努力しなければなりません。
So this is what we have to pursue and put in our efforts in order to attain this.
わかりましたでしょうか？
Do you understand?
Yes.
ぜひ一家庭でも多くそのお父様の御言葉をそのごとく実践する家庭になってください。
So I hope that even, how do you say it? I hope that every single family over here is able to become a family that is able to practice these kind of models that our true parents desire.
二世祝福家庭の皆さん、モデル家庭になってくださいね。
So all of the blessed second generations here, please become a model family.
Yeah.
Yes, Aju.
Hi.
ということで、サムニムの
Yes.
お話を終わりたいと思います。
So with that, I would like to conclude my special remarks.
Thank you.
Aju, thank
All
you.
right. Thank you so
Thank you.
much,
Thank you
Samonim.
Thank
so
you.
much, Samonim.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for your amazing words and guidance that really touch our hearts. Yeah, we really believe that all our participants, not only first gen, not only second gens, but even third generation, have inherited so much content from you. And all of us are so inspired by your words to strive to live with 3 generations or even 4 generations in the heavenly way. And we will definitely become the model families where heaven parents and true parents can dwell in, and we can testify to our brothers and sisters outside. So right now, we're going to move on to the next exciting session. So I would like to pass back to our brother Namhee.
All right, everyone. Thank you so much, Samonim, for that great sharing. Very touching and moving and inspiring. And the good news is our next speaker will also be from the same family. The next speaker will be the translator just now, our amazing brother, Ken Scmittat, who is the son-in-law of Samonim, and who is also blessed with, he's a second generation elder brother, 29 years old, blessed in 10 years ago, and blessed with Dr. Yong's daughter, Yie Sun Yong. And they both come from half Japanese families, but the father is half German and the mother will be half Korean. So it's a very mixed race family. And then they also have a relatively new 15-month-old baby boy. Very, very cute. Wonderful photo. So without further ado, let us invite our brother Ken to share with us about, or to engage with us about his own experience.
Yes, thank you.
Hold on, let me take you off. Okay, so Ken, we're going to do this in a slightly interview style. I have a few questions for you that I would like to ask. Yes. Just to see, these questions come from our participants today. And so these are just the main questions, and later on you'll have more questions asked about in the Q&A session. But first of all, out of the general questions, you come from a missionary family. You come from a missionary family background. And so you were raised in a very, very special, unique situation where your parents were on the front line and you were in a foreign nation in Cambodia. And so we would really love to hear your own, the journey of growth and development, as simply as you can, perhaps, because I'm sure it's a long story. But yeah, just please let us know about how it is that you came to be who you are.
Yes, all right. I'll try and summarize the last 29 years of my life. So I was born in Germany. I was there up until I was 7 years old, and then that's when our whole family moved from Germany to Cambodia. So my younger brother was only 3 years old at the time, and then I have an older sister and an older brother as well. Now, we grew up in Cambodia. I went to an international school in Cambodia. This is where, I learned all of my studies was in English. And I was there for exactly 10 years in my case. My older siblings left a little bit earlier to go to the States. After 10 years, I graduated high school in Cambodia, and then I went to Korea to study Korean. Now, the reason that I chose to go to Korea and instead of follow, my older brother and older sister who went to the US, it was because my parents actually wanted at least one of their children to study Korean. Growing up in Cambodia, I had actually quite a few Korean friends, and I always wanted to understand what they were saying when they were speaking in class amongst themselves. So I was keen to study Korean as well. And of course, I did have the desire as well to be able to read the Divine Principle in Korean. And so I went to Sunwon University, 5.5 years there, and then, I received the blessing in 2010 over there. And after that, I came over to Australia, and I've been living here for the last 6 years ever since.
All right. Well, that's a nice summary of your life experience so far. But okay, in that journey, one question that I think everyone is curious about is, how did you build your relationship with our Heavenly Parent? How did you build a relationship with God?
Yes. So I've shared this before actually with the community here in Sydney as well. But for me, really, the very, origin, I would say, of my faith, the very root of my faith really started, I believe, from my parents, right? So growing up in Cambodia, there were no other second gens amongst us. And so our family was the only family with, second gens. So all of my friends are actually just, non-church members. And I grew up pretty much in a non-church environment, apart from the fact that my home was the headquarters in Cambodia. And yeah, I think it was really just, my parents and specifically I would have to mention my mom, because from memory, every time, we talked about something, she would always bring the Divine Principle or some kind of True Parents words into the conversation. And, she would very passionately always talk about True Parents and about True Parents standard and about what is the standard of a second generation, right? So my image growing up in Cambodia is that every second generation, had such an amazing standard. Every second generation around the world had a very good and very close relationship with God and with True Parents. And hearing, this kind of standard, I automatically thought, okay, this is something that I have to, try and reach. I have to be able to hit that kind of standard. But I always feel so bad because I always knew that, I hadn't done anything. I wasn't really, that amazingly powerful or strong with God and True Parents. I didn't have this kind of spiritual experience that made me discover God as I was growing up in Cambodia. But I later down the track, as I left, Cambodia, and as I was growing, studying in Korea, I really found that it was really all of those times that my mother would talk about God and True Parents, all of those times that she would, just, I don't know, almost go off on a tangent, talking about True Parents words, I feel is what actually became the foundation for my own life of faith. It's true that, I had to go through my own period of growth as well, of course, but I found that was the very foundation that helped me begin my own life of faith. Because when I went to Korea, I didn't know God that well, but I had a desire of wanting to know God's heart. I had a desire, specifically for me, I wanted to know what love was like, right? And so that kind of led very well into the blessing for me, because I knew that if I wanted to know what is love, that I would have to receive the blessing and you know, experience it firsthand, because I knew it's not something you can just read and understand. And so, but yeah, I would say for me, my beginning of my life of faith, or the way that I grew, was really just my parents constantly talking about God's words. I feel like that was the starting point. Without necessarily my own input in it.
Well, that's a wonderful starting point, and it's a great testimony about your parents. However, you touched on, you made one comment. You said, I also had my challenges and difficulties in my life. Do you mind going a little bit into that so we can get a taste of what it means, what it meant for you, or how did you face your challenges and how did you overcome?
Yeah, good question. So it's kind of hard to like pinpoint one specific challenge, right? But as an example, in Samun University as well, obviously I'm not the ideal person, right? I'm not I'm not, I don't know, like the ideal second gen. There would be many days and at times months where I wouldn't, for example, do any hundoke, right? I wouldn't read any of God's words. And it's kind of subtle, but after an extended period of such times, I would always kind of feel like something's lacking, right? And I wouldn't feel very happy. I wouldn't feel very connected. I would feel that everything that I'm doing in my daily life seemed kind of bland or kind of pointless, right? And so it was kind of a bit hard at times to really see, you know, what's the point of all this? But then every now and then I would realize that if I would start self-reflecting as to, oh, why am I feeling this way? I would recognize that it's because I'm not, you know, connecting with God. I'm not connecting with a true parent's words. And then I would start, you know, really reading again. I'd try and find anything, any kind of really true parents books, and just do a little bit of hundoke, whether that's 10 minutes or 15 minutes. And almost immediately I feel a little bit better, right? And so that's just kind of my own, I guess, challenge in terms of building up or even maintaining a life of faith. When it comes to like I know many people have like these periods where they would rebel against their parents, perhaps, or they'd have those, you know, turning points where at one point they quit the church and then later on come back or something like that. Now, I must say, I don't have that kind of a more extensive, like intensive experience. Mine are really all just very challenges within myself, right? And yeah.
That's very good. That's a wonderful example. It's showing us that we don't have to, not everybody has to experience that kind of difficulty, leave the church and then come back. Actually, it's possible to find God and still understand true parents by living a good life and a proper life. So it's a very good lesson. Thank you for sharing that. Now, because of our time restraints, we need to move on to, I mean, I would like to interview you for hours on end, but we need to limit our time. So the next topic is about the blessing. So can you just give us a rundown of how you prepared for the blessing and maybe, you know, some key elements of that journey and that experience?
Yeah, so this is something I talked a lot about here as well, but okay, where would I even start? Okay, so again, probably the first thing that would come to mind is I was told so many times when I reached the age of 15, 16 years old, okay, I was told so many times, okay, Ken, you're now at the age when Adam and Eve fell. Okay, this is the most important time. You have to be careful of girls, right? You have to steer clear. You have to be careful because this is the age, this is the time period when Adam and Eve fell. So you're at a very crucial point, right? So for me, I guess in that sense, preparation for the blessing started from then. Like I felt that I was constantly reminded and made aware of the fact that I'm at the age when Adam and Eve fell. And I was told it again and again, right? And so I was very aware of you know, other girls, like I was very self-aware of how close someone would come to me or how close someone would be with me. I was very aware if I was in a room by myself and only another girl, then I would leave the room. So these are very small but very subtle, like I guess preparations for the blessing, but that was really just self-preservation kind of thing, right? Into the more actual preparation for the blessing started as well when again, I think I was maybe 16, 17 or so, and then there was actually a family that had approached my parents, right, and said that they wanted to consider matching me with them. And then at that time, you know, my mom said, okay, look, anything can happen. You have to be ready for anything, and you know, at any time. So I remember it's not like it was, these weren't her words exactly, but this is something I learned later. But I recognize that actually there is a time when God will, you know, give you the blessing, or when there's a time that God wants to give you the blessing, right? And we can't really choose when that is. So what we have to do is we have to try and align ourselves with that time that God has prepared for us, as opposed to preparing ourselves so that we're ready and then receiving the blessing. I always found that it's important not to center it on ourselves, but to center on what is God's wish? Is God giving me this blessing right now? If he is, can I accept it? Like, am I ready to accept it? I might not be ready, but if it's, you know, but if God is giving me this blessing right now, then, you know, I have no choice. I have to accept it. God is giving me the blessing. This is not, you know, coming from me. So in that sense, I always felt that, you know, my mother would always tell me, I have to be ready to receive the blessing at any time, because it can come at any time. And so in that sense, I always try to, you know, remind myself of that, to be ready to receive the blessing at any time. Some other things that I would personally do would sometimes I'd imagine, oh, if I'd get blessed with, you know, an African BC, would I be able to accept her? Can I accept someone who, you know, from the opposite side of the world? What if I got blessed with someone who was ugly or I didn't like externally? Can I still accept that kind of person? So these are just like my thought processes in preparation for the blessing. And I'd always have to try and force myself to say, yes, I should accept them, right? I shouldn't base the blessing on these external factors, because these are all external factors, right? I shouldn't base the blessing on these external factors, but really base them more on internal factors, really base them more on what your parents say. And so that was kind of my thought process during the time, age of 17, 18 years, actually 16, 17 years old. And then when it actually came time to the actual matching, of course, other things that we did was we offered not just my family, but in this instance, it was my family, me, my family, and then the Yong's family, and then Yie Sun as well. Everyone all together at the same time, we offered, you know, a two-family 40-day Cheongsam condition in order to receive an answer from heaven, because we wanted to make sure that this wasn't, you know, we're not just choosing it. It's not just our parents choosing what they think or what they want, but that this was really something that God or that heaven would accept. And so, you know, that I think that's a very natural thing to do, to offer a condition to try and receive an answer from heaven. So that's I guess more of your norm, you know, having these kind of conditions. But yeah, just personally, I would always think, if I receive the blessing with this kind of person, can I accept them? And not am I ready, but when, you know, when I don't know when the blessing might come, so I have to be ready at any time.
All right, no, thank you so much. That is real wisdom right there, what you shared about the time of God's blessing. We never know when God will give us a blessing in our lives, and so we have to be ready to receive it, and that's really so precious. And also about how you shared about your heart, right, of not, first of all, not putting yourself in a situation that endangers yourself, right? Stepping out of a room if it's only a one-on-one brother and sister situation, or just doing your best to
Sorry, Nami, you're cutting out there. I can't quite hear you now.
dangers, right? But to be aware of that and to follow that path is very admirable, very, very admirable. And also, yeah, preparing yourself to receive the blessing, or to receive any blessing that God has ready for you. And Yeah, so anyways, very grateful for your sharing.
I guess the connection is not so well with Brother Namhee. Yeah. But I guess we can keep going with the question.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, Brother Ken, is it okay?
Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah,
You can ask as well. That's fine.
Yeah. So actually, we are really inspired by you sharing about how you prepared for the blessing, as we have many brothers here. Yeah. So I'm sure that all of them already received a lot of guidance from you. So the next question will be about starting family and becoming parents. So we know that you have a 15-month-old baby. Yeah,
Yes.
and he's so cute.
Yes.
Yeah. I met him like during the Thailand workshop, and I couldn't like remove my gaze from him. Yeah. So as second-gen couples, yeah, we are curious of like your relationship with your parents, and also like as you became a parent yourself, is there any like realization after that?
Oh, realization. Okay.
Yeah, like, or did your relationship with your parents change eventually?
Okay. Look, the relationship for me and my parents is, so I left Cambodia when I was 17. 16, sorry, I turning 17, right? I was around 16, turning 17. That's when I kind of left Cambodia. I went to Thailand for 4 months fundraising there, and then straight away I went to Sun Mun University.
Yes.
So in a sense, the amount of time that I have been able to spend with my parents has been very short, actually. And sometimes it's hard for your relationship to change with a person, especially your parents, if you're not together with them physically.
Yeah.
So I don't know how my parents feel about me or about this, but for me personally, I actually feel that as I have grown, the way that I view my parents has changed, right? And
I see. Wow. Okay.
as well as the amount of respect that I have for my parents also changed accordingly. So every time I feel that, every time I feel I grew, I found a newfound kind of love or respect towards my parents. Of course, you know, there are often times when I really miss my parents as well. But I really found that, yeah, and the blessing was a big stepping stone for me in that regard. Really, you know, it's my 10th year anniversary right now, but after having been blessed for so long, then I really came to recognize a lot of things that, you know, I was grateful for to my parents that I didn't really think about in the past, right? Or that I took for granted. And after becoming a parent, like, to be honest, there's a lot of things that I would think about, right? Like, for example, wouldn't it be nice if I'd be able to, you know, bring my son and go see them more frequently? Or wouldn't it be nice if I'd be able to get them to come and, you know, stay with us for a while, and these kind of things as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it does change in a way, my relationship with my parents, but it feels one-sided because I haven't actually talked about them in regards to them about this. So it's just, yeah, every time I feel like I kind of grow or I change, then my relationship from my side, I feel like it changes.
All right, thank you so much. Well, it's good to find out that you gained something from our interaction also, because now you know you have to go and talk to your parents more.
Yes.
Right. But okay, because of time issues, we are out of time for this point. And later on, you will have more opportunity to talk with the younger, I mean, the second gen and other children, I mean, other kids and second gen and youngsters who are here. So we will leave that for then. But now let me pass it on to Zishu to introduce our next speaker.
Yes, yeah. So I'm really glad to hear from our brother Ken, as I always see him as an older brother. yeah, who has a really warm heart towards all second gens in Asia. Yeah, so after hearing to him, next we will be inviting a very special sister. Yeah, she is the second generation and she was born in 1992. She was blessed in 2016 with her wonderful husband, now Kuni Yashiro from Japan, and they have now a baby boy, a newborn baby boy. Yes, so it is our beloved elder sister, Mrs. Yie Sun Yashiro. Let's welcome her.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, so please allow me to refer her as Yie Sun Onni because she's really a very close elder sister to me. Yeah, she's actually also my senior in Sunmoon who gave me a lot of good advices and I really have a lot of good memories with her. Yeah, so I heard that Yie Sun Onni were one of the earliest members and they pioneered many of the early churches in the Philippines. Even until now, they are still at the front line serving our true parents. So I know that her path growing up in a mission centered family was not easy, but when we were roommates in Sunmoon, and sometimes I could see her struggles, but she never once complained of her parents, of her family, but she's always acting as an elder sister, giving good advices, and she's always translating for us, the newbies who just came to Korea. Yeah, went to Korea. Yeah, so I'm really, really excited to be interviewing her this evening. So without further ado, let's welcome Yie Sun Onni.
Thank you so much, Ishu. So before I start, I want to give a shout out to all the staff who's working behind the scenes. I want to give shout out to Songi for really preparing so much. He's a really cool elder brother. And Victor, Serena, Jishu, Nami Oppa, of course, Auntie Kuiping and Uncle Shanghai for really preparing this kind of series. Without you guys, this wouldn't be possible, like really. And for Henry, for Julan, and all the interpreters that are behind the scenes, I might forget some names, but I will give out shout out to you again later. But thank you so much for really uniting as a staff. And also to Mika Oni, who's very busy this time, but she still makes time even though she has like 2 babies. I cannot even imagine how busy she is. So yeah, so thank you.
何これ私今からちょっと何やってんの
So thank you so much for the staff for working behind the scenes. So yes.
Yes, yeah. Thank you so much, Yie Sun Onni. Yeah, so all staffs really work so hard to bring you this series successful. Yeah, so let's focus on Yie Sun Onni now. Yeah, so I have a few questions for you. So Onni, being the only child, actually we are very curious of how was your childhood life like, as you're a child in a mission family. So we're very curious of did you ever rebel against or misunderstood your parents?
Well, growing up, I was the only daughter, so it was quite lonely. So I didn't really have playmates or children I can play around because we lived in the center in the church while I was growing up. So every Sunday I would go to Sunday school so I can meet friends, second generation that I can relate with. So for me, the second generation are the siblings that I never had. And so I would really put my heart in really guiding them, giving the best advices to them with my whole heart and, scolding them when they needed to. Because I felt that they are really my siblings.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I think growing up, I did hate my parents. I did rebel. Yeah. I remember when I was in high school, I painted my nails black and I had a henna tattoo on my wrist. It looked really real that my father got scolded me. And he was saying, if you don't take that out, I will cut your hand. So I was like,
What?
okay. So okay. So back then, I wanted to receive a lot of attention, and I keep on looking attention from other people because, you know, my parents are busy with the church and stuff, and so I didn't really understand that. But yeah, I would go for a lot of extracurricular activities, like, you know, performing, dancing, and stuff like that. Yeah, but yeah. Back then I really didn't understand why my parents are taking care of all the people and then they cannot take care of me as their one and only daughter. But I came to overcome this by hearing the testimonies of the first gen who my parents took care of. And they would share their stories about how their life changed because my parents guided them and how they are very thankful to my parents. So I came to understand through those first gen's testimonies that my parents are not only doing this for me, for my sake, but also doing it for the people around me.
Yes, wow. I still remember when I first met you in the Thailand workshop, you had like a black color eyeliner. Yeah, so I really like how you mentioned that you after like listening to the testimonies of the member, you truly felt the love from your parents. So I feel that it's really like a love circulation where your
True.
parents love the first gen members and the first gen members love you. Yeah. So I feel that wow, while listening to your story, it reminded me of how true children grew up. Yeah, I believe that you all had the same path, similar path. Yeah. So moving on. Yeah, so this is about life of faith. So Onni, I see you as an older sister with a strong faith. Yeah. So yeah, and I believe like many younger brothers and sisters of Asia, yeah, look up to you really a lot. Yeah, so can you share to us like how heavenly parents and true parents guided you to discover your faith? If you have any special experience with God, could you share to us as well?
I don't think there was a specific special experience, but I felt that God was guiding me throughout my growth. I think he gave me opportunities to grow from bad experiences, and he showed me the beauty of living life through good experiences. For me, I questioned a lot about God and true parents when I was younger, if they are really true or not. And if, you know, God is really there, if he really exists. So those kind of questions led me to finding answers through attending seminars, studying theology, listening to different experiences of all sorts of people, reading different kinds of books. I think it's good to ask questions about your life of faith so you know what you are believing and not just following by blind faith.
Yes.
Another thing is that experiencing frontline mission also gave me an opportunity to understand God's heart and true parents' heart. I know for those who experience fundraising, you know what I'm talking about.
Yes.
When you
Exactly.
experience rejection throughout the day, you can understand God's suffering heart in giving salvation to humanity for the past 6,000 years. Experiencing persecution gave me a glimpse on true parents' heart in pioneering, and experiencing how to lead members in fundraising gave me insight on true parents' heart in raising the leaders in our church. I'm really grateful to my captains and leaders in fundraising who showed me how to see God's heart and find God's heart in every experience.
Yes, thank you so much for your sharing just now. Like many of our brothers and sisters have questions in mind about faith. Yeah, and um even Dr. Young always taught us that if we have question, we should look for the answer. If we knock the door will open for us. Yeah, so I believe that this really gives us a lot of inspiration through your sharing, and that like Dr. Young also encouraged us to join YLT and all that, right? So
Yeah.
yeah, experiencing frontline really can strengthen one's faith. Yeah, so after growing in your life of faith, now we want to move on to the most exciting part. Yeah, so it's about the blessing. Yeah, so I can see Naokuni Oppa is right beside you, patiently waiting, yeah, being with you. So this question is for you, Onni. Yeah, I know that you receive your blessing through parents matching. And since Naokuni Oppa is from Japan and you are from one of the most westernized countries in Asia, the Philippines. Yeah, so I'm sure that there was tons of differences between you two. So, can you share on us a glimpse of the challenges you faced, and how did you overcome it?
Well, first things first, cultural differences and, expressing one's feelings. I think that was what I struggled the most. I think that when we first started communication, I was like, I won't marry this guy, definitely. I'm like, I don't see any future. Nah. Like I was struggling with, communication because I was used to, good morning text, did you sleep well texts, simple messages like that, that you show affection to your spouse. But I didn't really have that experience, when we first started communication. But then, later on, I realized that that was very horizontal kind of thinking. But I think what really kept me moving for my matching process is the guidance of my parents. I think my mom was also sharing her experiences that time. When I struggle, I would tell it to her, and then she's like, "Oh, your father is the same." And then she's like, "I had to work to receive attention, to receive love for your father for like a year or two, like writing letters every day." And I'm like,
wow,
my mom is so great. So yeah, and then one thing is also reading true father's words, God's words, true parents' words on the matching and the blessing. One thing that struck me the most is that find the hidden treasure in your spouse. I think that was like one quote that I read in one of True Father's words, that he said that he gives you this spouse, God gives you the spouse, but you have to find the good things in them. It's, he has hidden them for you to find.
Wow.
So I think that's one thing that I was able to overcome my selfish, thinking. And another thing is that don't have expectations. What I learned is that don't have expectations in your relationship, because once you have expectation, once you have thinking that he should be a certain way or I should be a certain way, I think that will, interrupt your growth in the relationship. Yeah. And I think learning about his culture, learning about his language is one key, how I came to understand him better. Because for me, I was used to this kind of culture, good morning, good evening, have you eaten culture, I like you culture, But his culture is not like that. So I have to understand that his culture is different, my culture is different. And that is how, we try to grow as a couple in our relationship. And I think that's the starting point of peace. That's why true father, true parents matched people from polar opposites. So we can overcome each other's fallen nature and make world peace in our family.
Yeah, I really like one thing you mentioned just now, that that we shouldn't have expectations on our spouse. As we grow up, we always have developed this kind of imagination, like my spouse will be this kind of person or that. Yeah, so thank you so much for sharing with us your tips on preparing for matching and blessing. Yeah, so yeah, actually, I was on these roommates when they were in the communication process. And once I remember, she secretly told me, he's from Japan. Yeah. Yeah, so I'm really happy to see that you are now together. Yeah, so I witnessed the process. Yeah, so yeah, your couple is just so beautiful, and along with your son. Yeah, so all right, so I can see that now Kuni Oppa is here. Is it okay if I interview him as well?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
So now Kuni Oppa. Okay. Hi.
Hi.
Hi. Nice to meet you.
Nice
So
to meet you.
I would like to ask, as a second gen, many of us have struggles in faith. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And seeing you become more and more active in the movement, and after that receiving the blessing, could you share to us your journey in faith? And perhaps through your sharing, it could help our brothers and sisters who are going through some struggles to have the courage to overcome.
Nice to I didn't go to church until 24 years old, and I don't have a faith until 24. Of course, I had so many struggle in this time, but my parents tried to understand me and love me, and then my parents never give up to love me. So I really so this time is so my parents' love is so helpful. So and then at the same time I realized I just escaped my destiny. I just don't know what is the second gen, what is the blessing, what is the God's lineage. So I try to understand what is the second gen, what is my life's purpose, what is the blessing, and then I ask the God. I try to go to the workshop, and then I do pray in Yoshie. So every time the God give me to the answer, and then the God give to love. So I think please ask and it shall be giving you, like
Ask and it shall be given to you.
Yeah, like the holy message. So every time absolutely the God to give message to us. So and then the
Oh, you are muted.
Helping your what? Helping your parents.
Yeah, my parents' support is so important. So please, if the second gen don't have a faith, don't go to church, don't want to go to church, please never give up to love them. Please never give up to understand them. And then the second gen, please try to understand our destiny, what is the second gen, what is the blessing, what is the God's lineage. Please try to know my life, my destiny. This is so important thing. I think so.
Yes. Wow. Thank you so much. Like from your sharing, I could really feel your urging heart, like urging the second gens to really find your identity and to embrace your identity, your destiny as the second gen. And it's really true that often it's easy to judge someone if we see that, oh, why are they not going to church or something? It's really easy to judge. But instead of judging, how can we continuously give love and encourage and support, yeah, our brothers and sisters, or for parents, your children? Yeah, so really, I know that it's not easy to share this kind of private content publicly, but we're really grateful for your words of encouragement. So the next question I would like to ask to you is, since you said that you only start to develop your life of faith when you were 24, so how did you prepare yourself to receive the blessing, since it was not a thing that you were planning to receive?
How did you prepare for the blessing?
How did you prepare for the blessing? I went to went to champion so many times. I play in Joshimon and then the 40 place. And then I try to I try to understand the parents. I try to know and I try to understand my parents because so blessing is なんだろう価値parents 하는 거.
Because the blessing is doing it together with your parents.
Yeah. So if I misunderstand my parents and if my parents misunderstand me, we なんだろう cannot なんだろう be good at blessing. How can I say?
Give and take.
Yeah, give and take, and then the God's like we cannot know God's guidance. What's the God's message? What's the God's the 하나하나 미션가 있어요.
Each person has their own mission.
Yeah, the blessing mission. So we should know what's my mission through the blessing. So if we know this thing, if we don't know mission, we try to understand parents, each other.
So we have to try to understand each other, both parents and children.
Yeah, and prepare my most I want to say I'm most interesting so please understand make a relationship with our parents.
Wow. Yeah, it's so amazing. Like, I just couldn't stop smiling because, oh my God, your couple is just too cute. Like, I can see like the interaction of you, like 3 languages, like mixing up together and all that. No. It's not a bad thing. It's just so cute. Yeah, and like seeing how you help each other in the language. Yeah, so this is really the beauty of interracial couple. Yeah, so I really like how you said that preparing for blessing is really developing your relationship with your parents.
Yeah.
Yeah, so through the unity with parents, it could eventually lead to a successful matching and blessing. So yeah, I guess all of us got your message. Yeah, so for brothers and sisters who are preparing for matching and blessing, so first step is to develop your relationship with your parents. Yeah, thank you so much for your advices. Okay, now Kuni Oppa. So last but not least, I have a very, very important question. So after asking about blessing, yeah, so what's after blessing? It's starting family and becoming parents, right? So since Nakuni Oppa and Yie Sun Onni are now parents, so I believe that they have some experience to like share to us. So here's the question. As second-gen couples, we are allowed to start family after the blessing and after the 40-day dedication period. So Onni, as a sister, do you think that this is too fast? Can you share to us how you prepared yourself artistically? And we would really love to hear from your experience. Could you share to us?
I think for every couple, it's different because some people might receive the blessing when they're 27, 28 and want to start family right away. Some people might receive the blessing 18, 21 and they're still too young and they want to finish their studies first, find a job first. So yeah, so I think it's a different story for every couple.
Yeah.
I think
it like
for us though, preparing to start family, I think because we were too focused on each other's life. He was working for the church, I was working for the church, and then he went to Sun Moon, and then I was still in the Philippines then. So we were still too focused on our own separate lives. But I think what helped us was really sit down together and had a conversation on how we want to plan our future together. And then we had to meet midway. So he decided to come back to Japan to work, and I also decided to go to Japan so we can start family together. But you know, it took us time to reach to that decision after the blessing. I think it's important for you to grow artistically first, as like what Samonim said earlier. She mentioned about the 4 great realms of heart. That we have the children's heart, the siblings' heart, the conjugal heart, and the parental heart. I think it's important for you to grow with that kind of heart with your spouse as well. At first, you will begin with the children's heart, but gradually you come to understand each other, and then you have conjugal love for each other, and then you have parental love for each other. So I think you have to have good communication with your spouse and grow together as a couple.
Wow, amazing. Thank you so much. Yeah, I really like the point that you pinpoint that we should grow together as a couple. Yeah, to grow our great realms of heart. Yeah, so thank you so much, Naokuni Oppa and Yie Sun Onni. Yeah, for your really your heartfelt sharing, and also I believe all our brothers and sisters here and even our parents really received a lot of inspiration from your sharing and your story. So later we are going into another breakout session. Yeah, where we are going to have more Q&A session with both of you. Yeah, so now I would like to pass it back to my MC, my co-MC, Brother Namhee. Yeah.
All right, thank you so much for all our speakers and everyone that's opened up about their own personal experiences and shared with everyone. So now we need to move on with our next part of the program. And so, however, before we do that, can everybody turn on your cameras, and we'll take this moment and we'll just take a few photos to commemorate this experience, right? And we can please turn on your cameras, show your best face, and we can get some photos, group photos of everybody. So first of all, let's get ready. Let's just smile with a big smile on your face. 3, 2, 1, smile, happy. All right, let's do a peace sign, peace. And love, sarang, love. All right, and finally, let's do 승리, 승리, 승리. All right, thank you so much, everybody. Wonderful. Now, let's go back to the PowerPoint. Okay. All right, now is the part of the program where we'll be separating into our 2 groups. We'll be verified once again because we don't want to lose anybody in this process as we split into 2 locations. We will have 2 separate sessions, Zoom sessions, because we want to maintain the translation. And so we need to have 2 rooms for the participants so everyone can get proper translation. However, the parent side, we will have the Mr. and Mrs. Scmittat, so Ken's parents, together with Mr. and Mrs. Vergara, which is Yie Sun's parents, will be there to talk with the parents and share about their experience. And here, the facilitators will be Sister Edita from Thailand, who is the head of the Blessed Children's Department there. And also Sister Divine from Nepal, who is the head of the Best Family Department in Nepal. So these are our facilitators for this section of the program. So the parents, you don't need to move. You can just stay where you are and we'll just wait a second while we settle in for the next bit. Now on the second generation side, or on the young people side, our two speakers, Brother Ken and Sister Yie Sun, together with Naokuni-san, Brother Naokuni, will be together over there speaking with you and answering your questions. And the facilitators in that part of the program will be Jia Yu, Sister Jia Yu from Singapore, and Brother Henry from Hong Kong. So please notice who it is that will be leading your session, and prepare your hearts to have a wonderful give and take together with your panelists or with these speakers. And so finally, please just be careful. Double check that you have the link from the chat group. And if you have the link, then make sure that you have the link and you can click. And as you learned before, as was demonstrated to you, just click into the link and you will have an option whether or not to go in. You connect yes, and then you will leave this room and go to the next room. So we hope we can hold on to everybody and nobody gets lost in this process. And if you do, please try to contact one of our staff if you can't find a way. But hope everyone has a wonderful time, and we'll take 1 minute for everybody to settle into your new locations. For all the second generation and for the young people, please move on to your new location, and parents just stay here and we will continue with our program. So thank you so much, everybody.